Bell Promo is a trusted supplier in the promotional products industry, helping distributors succeed with low minimums starting at just 12 pieces, fast production, and dependable service. From drinkware and bags to tech and apparel, Bell Promo offers deep inventory, simplified pricing, and flexible solutions to support projects of any size. With marketing support, mock-ups, and spec samples available, Bell Promo makes it easier for distributors to win business. Because yes, you can Bell Promo that.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Promo Perspectives. My name is Nicole Cook and I'm joined by Melissa Ralston and Danny Rosin to talk about PPAI's North American Leadership Conference. And thank you, Danny and Melissa, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Jinx.
Before we get in to talk about all things NALC, can we do just quick intros from each of you? Just tell us who you are, who you're with, and your relationship to the NALC conference.
Sure. You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. Great. So Melissa Ralston, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at PPAI. So that's a fancy title, which means I am responsible for marketing, media communications, research, and public affairs. And my role will be obviously to be there and help interact with our members. I also think that along with Danny, we'll both be delivering and moderating different panels while we're there too. So that'll kind of be my also more specific role while I'm there attending. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm going to do whatever Melissa tells me to do. And beyond that, I'm a distributor, co-president of Brand Fuel. Been in the industry, we just celebrated 28 years. Pretty excited about that.
Awesome.
Congrats.
I think for this conversation, I also wear the hat of the president of the PPAI Board. I'm actually, they call it the chair. But I am really proud also because we use Sage as our back end for search and
Amazing.
kinds of tech. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, for anybody who is not familiar with what NALC is, can you guys just give a brief overview of what the event even is and who it's for?
Melissa?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so this event is really for, I would say, executives and senior leaders, or maybe leaders that are ready to make that next level, and they're kind of shaping the future of their organizations. And that's really kind of who this event is revolved around in terms of the topics and the attendees and things like that. And it's a mix of all, distributors, suppliers, business service providers. So it's kind of a mix of all of the members. Yeah. And we also have some international attendees as well. So, and I don't know, Danny, how else would you describe it?
It's interesting. I think a lot of people think it's for like the largest companies and the CEOs in the industry, and it is that. But I like to think that, we open it up for really anyone who's like trying to figure out if they're going to be a good fit and they want to be around executives in an intimate setting, so it is senior leaders. But I want to say what it's not. It's not an event where, the slimy sales pitches show up over drinks. This is like a really high level strategic. There's a lot of smart people in the room, and it's a really special event.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I'd second that. I think it's for even those leaders that are looking to scale and grow and trying to learn from others, right? And I think that's a huge opportunity for anybody that's planning to attend or has attended. So,
yeah. And you kind of said it a little bit, Danny, but I on a similar vein of what you just saying, you're not getting the slimy sales pitches over drinks because we all know what that is like. What else would you guys both say makes this event different than other industry events that people might go to?
You want to go first, Melissa?
Sure, go.
Oh, I'll go. Sure.
Yeah, sure.
I think there's magic in like the intimacy of the event. I mean, this is not thousands and thousands of people. I love the shared learning. I like the locations where the events are. I often think I've missed a lot in my career where I've gone to these events and I like haven't bookended, joy in these amazing cities. So like take a day or two on either side of the conference and enjoy and explore. What else? I don't know. I want to shout out to PPAI staff. Like, there's so much thought that goes into this event. I think it makes it unique. I think PPAI is trying to create an event where they're giving consideration to where opportunities can show up for one-to-one conversations, which I think are really valuable.
Yeah. And I would say, I've been with PPAI since July of last year. So having attended this conference myself for over 10 years, it's funny because this is the one question I feel like people ask a lot in this industry, like, what event should I attend and why should I attend it? And for me, I've honestly always said NALC was one of my favorites, is still one of my favorites. And that's because of the content, like the caliber of keynotes, of programming, of panelists, of those, to Danny's point, those one-to-one conversations, those honest conversations. Like you don't get that maybe at some other events, and that's why I think this one stands out.
Yeah, I love that. And what else do you think that attendees are going to like walk away with? What are things that you hear when you're at the event, or as people who have attended the event for years? Like, what's the biggest takeaways that you're getting?
Melissa.
Yeah. I think the biggest takeaways you're getting are truly, like, while we may be talking about emerging technologies or trends or things like that, for me, there's always something that's tangible and actionable to take back to a business, right? And so it's not all pie in the sky. It's not like yes, it's high level, but it also starts to transform into something, again, that you can take away and action immediately, and or things that, because a lot of this is based off of what you may need for long-term planning. So it's like, okay, we may not do it today, but I need to make note of it, right? And I need to maybe put it into my strategic plans for the future, right? So we don't get left behind. So that's what I would probably say is what they walk away with. And maybe friendships, new connections, right? Good one, huh?
Stole mine. Yeah.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Like I have so many stories of I've been in so many NLCs. I have so many stories of like getting on a bus, going someplace and sitting with someone I didn't know. And like 10 years later, we're like great friends, or we've done some business relation, whatever it is, the ripple effect from that is huge. So yes, friendships, double down on that. Also say that I think like right now, I'm thinking about our business and the I don't know, the optimism we have in the industry and what's going on, but also there's like a lot of confusion and chaos in the world. And so I think people are going to be talking like honestly about kind of the fear that's out there, the chaos, the worry. And I think that stuff at NALC, because you're around leaders who are thinking proactively about how to address this stuff, like you get a kick in the pants, you get a sense that you're not alone when what hits the fan. And I think in those moments, when people are vulnerable and sharing with even competitors, talking together with each other around these challenges that we have, I mean, amazing trust is built, and you get a little bit of clarity, and I think that maybe drives a little focus when you get back to the office and kind of get back to work to figuring it out.
Yeah. There's two things, one each of you guys said that really stood out to me. One is, I think, Danny, you just touched on what I think makes this industry just so awesome in general. I'm personally pretty new to the industry. This year will be year 2 to me. And I think it's rare that there's industries that are so relationship focused, and the relationships help drive the industry forward. I just think that's so unique and something that I love about promo. So I just wanted to highlight that. And then 2, Melissa, what you just said, which is no one wants to go to a conference that you walk away and you're like, I didn't hear anything from this. Like, it was all, they used a bunch of fluff words and all that stuff. So the fact that you can say confidently, like, you're going to walk away and have things that you can apply as soon as you get home is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think that's truly, like, I remember taking pages and pages of notes, and probably still will this year, right? And I think you take those notes and then you kind of just start to, okay, I can see something, panning out here for when I get back. And so I think, it's definitely true.
Yeah. Now, Melissa, this one is directed to you.
Okay.
How does PPAI go about coming up with programming for this type of event?
Yeah, so obviously some of it's based on previous attendee feedback, right? And so we take that into account. But equally important is probably like what's going on right now that can impact today or impact the future, right? So there's a lot usually with economic trends or emerging trends, right? Be it within retail or technology or whatever it is. So there's usually a lot of topics centered around that. And one maybe to kind of make note of, right, is we know everyone's talking about AI. Everyone has probably attended a lecture on AI, and everyone's probably attended similar, types of formats in which that information is maybe disseminated. And I think this year attendees want to hear about it, but I think in some cases they might also be sick of hearing about it. And so I think it's kind of how do we make it unique and different? And so this year we actually have an authority on emerging trends, but he's actually taking an interactive approach. It will be an interactive session on AI, like people actually interacting with how we can do it and do it today. So to your point about having something like tangible you can take away, they're going to learn on the spot in the moment, right? And I think that's going to be really fun and unique way to bring it into practical day-to-day use. So
yeah, that's awesome. And now, Danny, I have a question I'm going to kick to you because you spoke about the relationships that you've built at your previous conferences. Can you speak a little bit more to the networking that you experience at this event? Because I feel like I always hear how networking obviously is a big takeaway from this event. Can you just speak a little bit more about what you find valuable about that here?
Yeah. I think the mentality is a little bit different at this type of event. I think you can have I don't know, a candid conversation with someone you technically compete with, like I was saying earlier, and you walk away smarter versus guarded. I think that's rare. And you were kind of talking about a little bit, Nicole, you came from other industries and it's just more open and warm. And I love that the industry is heading in that direction. I think at Expo, you can, go and have a lot of, I don't know, single serving experiences with a lot of people because there's thousands and thousands of people. But at NALC, I think you get these I don't know, repeat interactions and engagements with people one-on-one, which is really powerful. And it's kind of jumped in my mind. I think NALC is it's therapeutic in a way. I was talking about how you're kind of there, with people who are going through the same stuff that you're going through. And I think, there's a lot of personal growth that happens beyond company growth as well. So NALC is therapy for our industry. How's that?
I love
that's
that. That's
tagline.
a great, yeah.
Yeah, tagline. That's great. My gosh. I don't know if I want to have the attribute for that or not. The attribute for it. Yeah. Anyway.
You'll get the tag right after.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything else either of you guys would want to call out or highlight about this event?
Yeah, I guess two things. One would be it's also the event where we unveil PPAI 100. So I think that is something that within the industry, people look forward to, right? In terms of, who's going to make the list, cheering on their teams when they're there, and I think that would be one thing that also kind of makes this a little bit unique in terms of our other events. And then this year, this year specifically, we'll be unveiling the first ever global economic impact study. And so this research is kind of groundbreaking in the sense that, yes, we have an industry that we say is $27 billion in the US, but we've never really measured on a global scale, end to end from the OEM manufacturer all the way down to the recipient of branded merch. All of the outputs, the economic output, the GDP impact, the number of jobs we create. And so this will allow us to really show the true value of our industry, because I think we all agree that it's much bigger than $27 billion when you look at the other ecosystems in terms of print on demand, in terms of, concert merch and things like that. And so I think this will be the one way for our industry to be able to kind of say, like, we've really showed up, like we really have an impact on the economy, and this is why, and this is how, and this is where, right? So I think that'll be really new and different for this year. And yeah, so
That's super cool. I can't wait for that report to be public so I can take a look at it.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say like just the incredible work that you and your team are putting in, Melissa. It's like to get this information out. I feel like it's good internally to the industry, where maybe we're drinking our own Kool-Aid a little bit, but we're kind of ratifying some things that we kind of thought may or may not, exist or be real, but creating fact out of perception but I think more so like this information is going out into the world to really make a major difference in how, the world thinks about our industry. So big shout out to you. I love the idea of the reveals. The PPA 100 thing's kind of funny. We should probably have some branded Kleenex around in case like people don't make it on the list. um, I think for me, the only thing I would say is that I think it's an investment. Sure, there's some money you got to put behind it. It's your time, but you're going to be with some of the smartest people in our industry, and I think that kind of time is really, really valuable, and it's very, very well spent. So I hope to see everybody there. I hope it sells out again. It's going to be awesome, and just big, big, big claps. Break up my big claps for Melissa and the PPAI team. They're just tremendous in what they're doing. They work tirelessly around events like this to bring success.
That's awesome. Well, to that end, if someone is still looking to get involved, how can they do that?
Registration's still open. So you can go to ppai.org and go to the events page, and it's right there. So we're still open for registration.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for joining us today. This was very exciting, and I'm excited to see what comes out of NALC whenever you guys get back. So, and then thank you to all of our listeners for being here. We will see you again next week on our next installment of Promo Perspectives.
Thanks, Nicole.